Aloha, y'all. It's Brandy with Better Business Strategies here with another episode of Business Bites with Brandy. All right, I'm flying solo today, so hope you all are doing well. If you are just popping in for the first time, either to the YouTube channel or to the podcast, my name is Brandy Renee with Better Business Strategies. I have an MBA in accounting and finance. My undergrad work was in human resources. I'm a certified life coach, and I love working with small business owners. I help successful business leaders get clarity on how to increase their profits while working less, reducing stress, and reconnecting with the love and joy in their life again through small shift, big impact strategies, many of which you will hear on the show. So today I would like to talk about my favorite subject, money mindset. What is your money story? What is the story that has been passed down from generation to generation? What is the story about money that you tell yourself? What is the story about money that you find you telling your kids if you have kids? Like many of you who grew up, maybe when things were tight, I always heard there wasn't enough money. I had a single mom. There was 4 of us, and she was always bootstrapping it. That was the way of it. And we definitely had some really hard times. Food scarcity could be a real thing in my life. We went some time without electricity. We didn't have running water sometimes, and it was definitely hard growing up that way. And I went to school with really wealthy kids, and so my awareness of my poverty, sometimes extreme poverty versus upper middle class wealth, was obvious to me and often very shameful. And so, I carried a lot of that scarcity with me into adulthood. Is probably a big reason why I became an accountant, and was interested in finance, right? Because I felt like if I could learn how to control or manage money, then that would be a way to empower myself so that I never had to live the way that I lived during some of my childhood years. And I think that's largely true. Learning financial literacy, learning how to manage money, learning about finance definitely helped me to have a vastly different lifestyle than I grew up with. And even when I was a single mother myself, my kids never went without food. We always had electricity, running water. We probably always even had cable, right? So they could watch cartoons, play video games, do all the things. Pretty sure my kids did not feel the scarcity or vast wealth difference that I did when I was growing up. And so I've done a lot of work around money mindset, and just recently has been doing some work around money story. And I've been a cycle breaker my whole life. Much of the generational dysfunction that was passed down for generations, I chose to be the one to stop the cycle so they did not get passed on to my own children. And money stories, scarcity, is one of those cycles that I chose not to pass down. But I didn't stop telling myself the story that my story was scarcity for a really long time, and just recently had an epiphany that part of my struggle with money mindset was that I was felt like I was living in the money story that had been passed down for generations. My grandmother was born in 1927 and was a child during the Depression. And so she was born into and raised on a farm with money scarcity, bootstrapping with, I think there was 11 or 12 kids in her family, a typical kind of farm family in the 1920s and 30s. And then she passed that scarcity down onto my own mother, and my own mother gave her power away. She unfortunately was often married to predators or men who only really looked out for themselves and used up every resource around them, including my mother. And so that story of scarcity was then passed down to me. But as I said, my choice in career, being empowered through learning to be an accountant and finance major, learning to manage money, and then in turn, empowering others to learn to manage money or to be financially empowered is my story. And that is a story of abundance. I have always had enough. Like I said, even as a single mom, my kids still ate well, had clothes, had toys, had electricity, had running water, had a roof over the head, had all of their basic requirements plus more met. So I really want to ask you, what is your money story? And is it your money story? Because I was living somebody else's money story for a lot of years. And now that I realize that my money story is not my mother's money story and not my grandmother's money story, I feel like the energy around money in my life is really beginning to change in a major way. And I'm much more aware of living in abundance and that my money story has always been abundance. And so when I think about my future, I realize that the abundance that I've had all of my adult life will continue to flow with me into the future. So, what does your money story say about your future? Ask yourself that. And I really want you to think about whether or not the money story that you're telling yourself is the money story that your parents told you. And where did that money story come from? And is that money story true? I mean, I thought that I was always afraid of having scarcity. And so I always planned for scarcity. But the truth is that I always had abundance. And now I plan for abundance. And it's a different approach. So think about it and think about how you're planning with your money story. And does your story need to change? And if you want to talk about that, give me a call. I'll put a link down in for a flash coaching session. Those seem to be real popular right now. You can get, check out the link for the flash coaching. You don't have to be a member or any program. You can get an hour of time for me for an incredibly affordable rate. So no matter what your money story is, I got it. It'll fit the flash coaching will fit into your budget. All right. And I want to continue to talk about money story because for business owners, your personal money story is going to show up in your business. And if you listen to any of my other podcasts on money mindset, you've heard me say this before, that your business can only grow as far as you've come. And so if your money story is a story of scarcity and lack, and your business is suffering financially, you might want to take a look at how your money story is showing up as limitations in your business. I have definitely worked with clients that say they get to a certain number, a certain plateau, either a dollar amount, and they can't get over that from year to year, or a certain number of clients per week or per month, and they get to that amount and then they can't get past that. And the story they're telling themselves is there's just never enough. There's just never enough. And that plateau that they're getting to financially is just maybe it's almost close to being enough, but it's not quite enough. And those number of clients that they're getting in every week or every month are really close to breaking even, but it's just not enough. And so you can see if you're telling yourself there's never enough, there's never enough, there's never enough, and you're hitting that almost there, but not quite enough, you might see how your money story is showing up in your business. So, yeah, give me a call. Let's talk about your money story, see how it's going and how it's showing up in your business. Money mindset, it's everything. All right, let's talk a little bit about how money story and shame around not having enough or shame about not knowing how to manage your money can show up in your business in a different way. I very often, as an accounting person, have clients come to me just before tax time when their books are a mess or they haven't filed taxes in a couple of years because they decided they wanted to do the accounting on their own, and that was uncomfortable. It was too much of a burden. They kept putting it off. They didn't want to hire anybody, and it snowballs and it snowballs. You don't want to deal with it, so you ignore it. And 1 year goes by, and 2 years go by, and 3 years go by, and you haven't done any accounting, and you're just like figuring it out however things are flowing through your checkbook, but you haven't really kept track of anything, and you haven't filed taxes for a couple of years. And then you got to do it. Something happens, or you want to get a bank loan, or somebody wants to invest in your business. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I've got a mess. And I'm really embarrassed to hire an accountant to try and fix it on my own. And so then you do find an accountant, and it's really uncomfortable to talk to them. So if that's you, if you're 6 months into that, I'll figure it out someday, or you're your first year into, I haven't filed taxes because I don't want to look at my accounting situation, or I don't even know where to start, so I'm just going to pretend like it's a non-issue. If that's you, I want to encourage you to give me a call. I'm not taking accounting clients right now, but I know some fabulous, non-judgmental, happy to help you, specializes in people who need a little TLC. I've got some people to connect you with that will be more than happy to get you straightened out. So if your money story is, I'll figure it out later, now's the time. The longer you put it off, the bigger mess it's going to be, the more it's going to cost you. So wherever you are in that story, stop the money story of I'll deal with it later, and let's deal with it now. All right, y'all, just a quickie to pop in. Money story has been a hot topic the last couple of weeks for me, my own personal work. Figuring out that the story that I've been living was generationally passed down and wasn't really my story. And when I stopped to consider what my story was, it wasn't a story of scarcity like I had been told. My story was a story of abundance. So again, I'm going to close out this show today with asking you to think about your money story, where it originated, if it's true, and is it time to rewrite that story and start planning with abundance in mind instead? All right, y'all, check out the links below. Schedule a call. Check out the website. Talk to you soon. Let's change your money story.